What's going on? Yes, sir, Ski. Hey, let me just tell you when we on video, bro. Move.
Hey, get the whip my nuts.
Move. Nah, give me my motherfucking Mac, nigga.
Here, man.
Fuck hands on the ground, nigga. Fuck wrong with you, nigga.
You know
Noodle, nigga. Fuck wrong with you. Hey, look. What do I say? MSD. D. Hold on. Say I'm at D. Hold on. Should I match D? Hold on. Should I match D?
Yeah, them go.
And should I match D with D? That's not good, kid. Or should I match D with D?
Yeah.
I rock about your ass, bitch. On my mama, nigga. 6 rings, nigga. Rockabye baby. This that rockabye baby right here, nigga. This that motherfucker get up off me. Ha!
Yeah, get up off me. Get up off me.
You gotta, see that?
Shalom, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Double salutations to all you Akim out there laboring. The house of David, the elect, that's pushing his word with all truth, righteousness, and sincerity. Shalom to you, brothers. Shalom to the elect. I'm back at you with another quick lesson through the Holy Spirit of the Rakakwadash. This same energy, this same spirit, is the reason why 2/3 of our people are finished, and Yahweh Shem Shai, he's going to come with that same energy and greater when he brings judgment on a lot of you niggas, and of course this video was on World Star Hip Hop, because Esau likes to push that vibration of niggas, being violent criminals and all of that, but it was all spiritual, because as soon as I saw the video, I thought about the curses, the curses that are written in Deuteronomy chapter 28, that will be upon the true Israelites today. And that's one thing that you can't overlook. You can't ignore it, okay? This low position we fell to as a nation was judgment, all right? It was divine judgment of Yahweh Shem Shai, and therefore he put us in the worst case scenario, because the scriptures do detail that that the curses would be a sign of who the Lord's people were, So I thought about, that scripture where it talks about how Jake would be in astonishment, Let's pull that up. This is Deuteronomy. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 37. And it reads, it says, "And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword," right? This is why you call the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Hispanic, nigger, spick, beaner, right? Tomahawk, porch monkey, tar, those are all those proverbs and bywords, It says, let's read it again, Deuteronomy 28 and 37, "Thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, shall lead thee." All right, so we know and understand through slavery, we were scattered through the 4 corners of the earth, but everywhere Jake is at, he would be in astonishment. He would be at the bottom. He would be a mockery. He would be a laughing stock. He would be in the hoods, the ghettos, the slums. Let's get this word astonishment real quick, right? This word for astonishment is shema, all right? Shema in the Hebrew. It says waste, horror, appallment, all right? And see, this is how the world looks at Jake, as an horror, as an appallment, violent thug niggas, you know what I'm saying? Criminals, murderers, right? That's the vibration that's pushed out there in the world, and that goes back to the curses, man. Tell me how this applies to the people who own and control everything, right? The Lord said his people will be a waste, a horror, appallment, a wasteland. It says a waste of land, city, etc. Appallment, horror, right? You seeing Jake walking around looking like demons, man. With the dreads, with the tattoos all over the face, the different colored hair, bitches twerking all over the goddamn place, right? The internet, social media, right? Jake doing all types of folly, making himself look like a fucking clown, right? This is how we look to the world, man. But it all goes back to the curses. It's all spiritual. That's why I said, if you can't see that we fit the curses, ultimately, the Spirit of the Lord, he didn't reveal it to you. He blocked your eyes so you couldn't see it. You see? And it said a waste, horror, appallment. All right. So it says, reading this again, Deuteronomy 28:37, it says, thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord, Yahweh Shemel Shai, shall lead thee. Right. And the Lord said that these curses would be a sign and a wonder, upon our seed forever. This is Deuteronomy. Okay. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28. Okay. We'll start up a little bit. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 43. That reads, it says, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high. The stranger goes back to the heathen nations. All right. And they will get up above us. This is why they can come over here from their foreign lands, get loans, set up shop right up in the ghettos and projects where you live at. These heathen nations will be above you. And thou shalt come down very low. You would be at the bottom. Okay? You would be the one going to them. Right? As we're going to read here, verse 44, it says, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. You see that? So Jake doesn't own no banks. Jake doesn't have any money. So you got to go to Esau. You got to go to these heathen, all right, to get these loans. You see what I'm saying? It says he shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail, right? So Esau and these nations would be the head, and you would be the tail. You would be at the bottom. You would be in the hood. You would be oppressed. Okay, you wouldn't be. You wouldn't matter, right? Verse 45. It says, moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee and overtake thee. You see, till thou be destroyed. Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, thy power, to keep his commandments and statutes which he commanded me. So this is all, as I said, this was divine judgment for our disobedience as a nation, man. This is why the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Hispanic is in this position. There's a reason why, we fell to this condition, man. Being in the worst case scenario all over the earth. Okay? Because remember, these curses would be upon us no matter where we would be in the world. It says, and they should be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. All right. So the curses give you detail of who the Lord's people are. Okay. Tell me how this applies to those that are in the Holy Land today, the 48ers, the small hats. How are they suffering? How are they at the bottom? Right? It says, because thou servest not the Lord thy power with joyfulness and with gladness of heart, for the abundance of all things. Therefore shalt thou serve thy enemies, which the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness. All right. Meaning we would have to go to our enemies for everything. All right. For our resources, for our food, for our clothing, our raiment, our shelter. We would have to go to him for everything. Okay. Once again, how does this apply to those that control and run everything? Those that are in power. It says in the one of all things. So you would go to your enemies for the one of all things, for everything. Jake doesn't have Jake doesn't control any of the economy. He doesn't control any of these businesses. Jake doesn't have the ability to tap into resources and things of that nature. Right? This shows you that the Israelites would be slaves and they would have to go to their enemies in the one of all things. It says, and he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. Right? And you could look up tons of pictures of Jake with the yoke of iron going back to slavery. All right, when we were brought over here by them ships, Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 68. Right? So anyway, let's get this. This is Jeremiah chapter 2 and verse 21, and it reads, it says, yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. All right, so we were a nation of nobility, princes of the power, right? Yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How then art thou turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? All right, so we went from a holy, noble seed and into a degenerate plant, right? You know, we're like we say, the way the point, the situation that Jake is in, you know, we're unrecognizable to Yahweh Hashem Shai. You know, I want to read this in the NLT. It says, same verse NLT. It says, but I was the one who planted you, choosing a vine of the purest stock, the very best. How did you grow into this corrupt wild vine? Yeah, what happened? You know, how do we go from a noble vine, a holy right seed, into a corrupted vine? Right? A degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me. Let me look up that word degenerate, man. Because this is what we morphed into as a nation, man. You know, we went from prestige to pretty much shit, man. Right? This word degenerate, it says having declined as a function or nature from a former or original state. Yeah, so we fell from, you know, to being a righteous people to a wicked people, you know? It says morally corrupt or given to vice. You see? That word vice goes back to moral depravity or corruption, wickedness. You see? This is what we went to. We went from being righteous to moral corruption. Like I said, you know, the so-called Negro, Latino, Native American, Hispanic is the mockery of the earth, man, the laughing stock. You know, a nation of degenerates, man. This black culture, it promotes nothing but death and destruction, dysfunction, man. Okay? Single parent homes, women out of order, men out of order, children out of order, man. You know, this gang shit, the drugs and sorcery, all these things that are pushed by Jake. Jake is like the trendsetter when it comes to folly and wickedness, right? He's in the forefront. It says this word vice, it says of moral fault or failing. It says a habitual and usually trivial defect or shortcoming. You see? A blemish, a defect. Man, a physical imperfection, deformity, or taint. Man. And this is how, as a nation, this is how we look to Yahweh Hashem Shai, man. You know? It says, Jeremiah 2 and 22, it says, for though, let's read 21 again. It says, yet I have planted thee a noble vine, wholly a right seed. How are I then turned into a degenerate plant of a strange vine unto me? It says, for though thou wash thee with nitrate and take thee much soap, yet thy iniquity is marked before me, saith the Lord, Yahweh Hashem Shai. So the point is that sin and transgression is deeply marked into Jake. You know, is deeply embedded in him, is what the scriptures are saying. You know, showing you how far we fell away as a people, man. You know, is Isaiah, right? Because the scriptures give us the reason why, right? That's why we said that the curses apply to us, man. Okay, whether you agree or not, man. This is what these devils can't perceive. The vocabs, all that. You know, these so-called Christian apologists, right? They try to set this to the side. You can't ignore the curses. You can't overlook them. All right, Isaiah 59 and verse 1, it says separation from the Most High. You see, it says, behold, the Lord's Yahweh Shai Shai's hand is not shortened that it cannot save, neither is neither his ear heavy that it cannot hear. But your iniquities have separated between you and your power, and your sins have hid his face from you, that he will not hear. And this is how we fell as a nation, through sin and transgression. The Lord, Yahweh Shem Shai, he turned his face from us. He divorced us. He put these curses upon us, and we were conquered and put in slavery by our enemies. Verse 3 says, for your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. You see that? You know, and what goes on within black culture, so-called, right? Murder, violence, drugs, you know, adultery, you know, sodomy, all types of wickedness, man. Right? Gang violence, all that shit, man. It says, for your hands are defiled with blood, and your fingers with iniquity. Your lips have spoken lies, and your tongue have muttered perverseness, man. You know, Jake on the internet saying all types of wild shit, man. You know? And like I said, this is what, see, Esau pushes this, so he pushes this vibration because this is how the world looks at our people, man. As criminals. You know? Playing into the propaganda, right? But it's all the curses, man. It says, none calleth for justice, right? There's no structure and order within black people, black culture, man. Right? Nor any pleaded for truth. They trust in vanity and speak lies. They conceive mischief and bring forth iniquity, especially in these churches, man. All right, these so-called black churches, they're not giving you any type of guidance, any type of truth concerning of who you are in the scriptures, the prophecies. Nothing, man. All right? It says they hatch cockatrice eggs and weave spiders' webs. He that eateth of their eggs dieth, and that which is crushed breaketh out unto a viper. It says their webs should not become garments, neither shall they cover themselves with their works. Their works are works of iniquity, and the act of violence is in their hands. All right, that's everything about the so-called culture. All right, dealing with Jake. It's all violence, it's destruction, it's wickedness. Right? There's no fruit from that, but death. Right? This is why Jake be dying the way he be dying. This is that going back to that energy, that spirit, man. Okay? It says, their feet run to evil, and they make haste to shed innocent blood. Right? You know, the fucking black on black crimes. You know, all that shit, man. You know, drill music. You know, it says, but their thoughts. It says their thoughts are thoughts of iniquity, wasting and destruction are in their paths. Yeah, especially dealing with niggas, man. Wasting and destruction are in their paths, man. Nothing comes out of a black culture, you know. Jake, you know, dealing with Jake in general, because, you know, what our people subscribe to is the ways of the world, you know, the ways of the devil. You know, they're not going to hearken and take on to true life. They're not going to take heed to the light, man. Right? It says the way of peace they know not, and there is no judgment in their goings. They have made them crooked paths. Whosoever go in therein shall not know peace, right? You know? And this is why we've been separated from the powers we just read here, man. You know, so the as I'm saying in this lesson, the condition we're in is spiritual, man. Right? But do you have the eye salve to see it? All right, let me go back to Deuteronomy. I just want to get a couple more things. Right? Just dealing with those curses, man. Right? You in the worst case scenario. Okay, this is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 54, and it reads, it says, so that the man that is tender among you and very delicate, his eyes should be evil toward his brother, and toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Right, going back to single parent homes. All right, dysfunction in the Israelite household. Right, it said his eyes should be evil toward his brother. This is why you got gang violence and shit, niggas killing each other all the time. And this goes on amongst all the tribes. All right, his eyes should be evil toward his brother, toward the wife of his bosom, and toward the remnant of his children, which he shall leave. Right? It said, because Jake ain't in the household, man. Right? He either locked up in jail, child support, he's out of the crib. Even the wife won't even let him see his kids. But that's all part of the curses, man. You see that? Verse 50, let's jump down. Verse 56, Deuteronomy 28:56, it says, the tender and delicate woman among you, which would not adventure to set the sole of her foot upon the ground, for delicateness and tenderness, her eye should be evil toward the husband of her bosom, and toward her son and toward her daughter. Yeah, going into the Israelite woman. There's been stories of of these women out here, these Israelite women murdering their kids, doing all types of wickedness, man. Murdering their husbands, keeping the kids away from the husbands, all that. This is all of this is the curses that were written that will fall upon the Israelites, that will fall upon our people. So let's get a couple more. This is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 65. And it reads, it says, and among these nations shalt thou find no ease, neither shall the sole of thy foot have rest. But the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai shall give thee a trembling heart and failing of eyes and sorrow of mind. All right. You wouldn't have no peace. You wouldn't have any rest in Babylon, the great America. All right. Micah 2:10, this land, this place is not your rest. Right. You catching hell, man. You will be hated by your own brother and Esau. Okay. That's the worst case scenario. Okay. And among these nations, you wouldn't find no ease. So no matter where Jake was scattered to, he wouldn't have ease. He wouldn't have rest. He would be at the bottom. He'd be oppressed. That's the sign. Right? Verse 66, it says, Deuteronomy 28:66, it says, in thy life, and thy life shall hang in doubt before thee. Thou shalt fear day and night, and shall have none assurance of thy life. That's why this nigga riding around with all these guns. You see what I'm saying? Especially, it's real life out there, man. Jake, that's the worst case scenario. You get pulled over by Esau, by the cops. That could be your last day on the earth. The scriptures talk about that, man. Our necks are constantly under persecution, right? But that was the curses, man. Verse 67, in the morning thou shalt say, would God if it were evening, and at even thou shalt say, would God if it were morning, for the fear of thy heart wherewith thou shalt fear, and for the sight of thy eyes which thou shalt see. All right, Jake catching pure hell. No matter where he is in the earth, this would be upon the true Israelites. Verse 68, and the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai, Deuteronomy 28:68, and the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships. Okay, we will be brought into Egypt again by the way of slave ships, man, into a new spiritual Egypt, right? And the Lord Yahweh Shemel Shai shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt no more see it again, and there shall you be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. That word buy going back to redeem. No man will redeem you out of this current situation, the oppression and slavery. You will be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. Slave man, slave woman. So tell me how the 48er fits the prophecy, fits the curses. Anyway, shalom to the next one. I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh Shemel Shah, Ba'ashem Kakwadash. Shalom and salutations to the elect.